action.
So, hello, boys and girls. This is lecture 22 of the course Environmental Science. The course code for this particular course is MC301. This is a mandatory course, as you people already know, because we have come across 21 lectures. So it's a big thing. It's a total 24 lecture course, and 21 lecture have already been finished. Today, we are starting the 22nd lecture of this particular course, right? Stay tuned till the end of the lecture, and you'll get something very, very important and very, very interesting here. Okay. So basically, as you know, that we have come across 21 lectures. In this 21, the first 6 were general. After that, 7 lectures were for air. Then 5 lectures were from water, and we are doing this module of land and its pollution. That is module number 4 for the last 3 lectures. This is the fourth and final lecture for this particular module. And as we know that in the first lecture of this particular module land, we have seen about rocks and soil, crust, mantle, core, and several types of solid waste, definition of solid waste, agricultural waste, biomedical waste. Basically, we have discussed about the type of the solid waste. After that, we went to MSW. We have seen that what municipal solid waste are and how municipal solid waste are uh, managed, right? 6 steps are being followed. The 6 steps we have seen, right? This was in the first lecture, the lecture number 19. Okay, this was followed by lecture number 20, where we have explained briefly the step disposal, which is nothing but combination of multiple steps or choice of multiple steps that people can see. There are basically 4 types of methods available for disposal of solid waste, and these 4 methods are nothing but open dumping, landfill, incineration, and composting. Right now, open dumping is nothing but dumping the waste in an open area, that is from the locality. Landfill is a little bit complicated. By complicated, I mean to say it requires more capital, because first we need to select a land, we need to dug a pit. After that, we need to make the lower part concrete, and then we can uh, dump the waste. Because basically what will happen, if you are not making the lower part concrete, then huge problem will of groundwater pollution will come up, right? Now, this are actually very much different from the third method of disposal, that is incineration, which means burning of waste. Now, there are good aspects, there are bad aspects. The good aspect is that the waste is reduced to around 98% by volume. This is a very good aspect, that large amount of waste are reduced, and uh, this is good. But the bad aspect is it creates huge air pollution. Okay, again, good aspect is by burning of waste, if we can use the water to boil, then we can generate electricity. Okay, so everything will come with both advantage and disadvantage, and this is none are different from that. Okay, so last but not least was the process of composting, where the waste are composed in a compost pit, and it finally changes to manure and fertilizer. Okay, and these were the 4 disposal methods that we people have seen in the lecture number 20. Now, in the very last lecture, we have come across the different types of waste which are hazardous in nature. Okay, we have seen what hazardous waste are. We have seen the techniques of knowing that how we are going to deal with hazardous waste. Okay, how we can predict whether a waste is hazardous or not, and after knowing what we should do, and we have seen that there are 3 categories of hazardous waste. Number 1 is the radioactive waste that we have discussed and completed in the last lecture only, and in this lecture we are left with 2 different topics. The second one is biomedical waste, right? By second one, I mean to say the second type of hazardous waste, the biomedical waste. Third one is chemical waste. Okay, so in this lecture we are going to see this 2, the biomedical waste and chemical waste. So, hello and welcome to the lecture 22, and this is land and its pollution part 4, the full and final lecture for the module of land. Now, in this lecture, we people can see that the lecture highlight contains biomedical waste, disposal of biomedical waste, chemical waste, and hazardous waste management. Okay. So, basically, uh, biomedical waste what the things are, how they can be disposed of, how we should treat them, that we people will see, followed by chemical waste and how hazardous waste should be managed. So first of all, yes, the symbol is right here. That is, we should have caution because it is biohazard. Why I have chosen this particular background? Because at this moment the world is facing a biohazard. The world is under a biohazard. It is getting problem due to a biohazard, and that biohazard is nothing but what? This is the biohazard, right? This is the biohazard. It is COVID-19, right? COVID-19 is a biohazard which is actually going on in the world, right? Okay. So here the most important biohazard that is taking place right in the world right now is COVID-19. Okay. Let us go to the next slide. Now, as you can see here, the definition of biomedical waste is given in details, and what the definition is, let us try to understand. So basically, biomedical wastes is a kind of waste containing infectious or potentially infectious materials. May also include waste associated with the generation of biomedical waste which appears to be of medical or laboratory origin. Example, packaging, unused bandages, infusion kits, etc., as well as research labs waste, cleaning biomolecules of organisms that are restricted from environmental release. Very, very important definition. We should go once again through it so that we can have a clear understanding that what biomedical waste actually are. Okay. So again, I'm saying it is any kind of waste that contains infectious or potentially infectious materials. The infectious materials, if they are present, that is biomedical waste. But this is not the end. They may also include waste that is associated with biomedical items. Means, for example, the discarded bandages which are unused, infusion kits, the tablet packets after taking the tablets in, right, and this type of things, right, as well as the research lab articles that are released, basically pathological articles, path lab samples, whatever, they are also part of biomedical waste. Okay. Now, discarded sharps are considered biomedical waste, whether they are contaminated or not, to the possibility of being contaminated with blood and their propensity to cause injury, but not properly contained and disposed of. Okay. So this is also very important. If sharps are considered, if sharps are discarded, then they are definitely biomedical waste. Whether it is contaminated or non-contaminated, it may create problem. That's why they are just left behind. They are just get rid of. Okay. And biomedical waste is nothing but a bio waste. Biomedical waste may be solid or liquid. Examples of infectious waste includes discarded blood, sharps, unwanted biological cultures and stocks, inviable body parts, including those of result of amputation, other human or animal tissue, used bandages, dressings, discarded gloves, other medical supplies that may have contact with blood and body fluids, laboratory waste that exhibits the characteristics described above. Okay, so a huge example of biomedical waste is given here, right? Starts from blood samples to sharps to unwanted cultures to bandages and dressings, discarded gloves, medical supplies, medicines, etc., etc., everything, along with bloods and body fluids and laboratory waste from pathological labs. Okay. One more thing is there. If you are a student of biomedical engineering, don't ever think that you are a biomedical waste. Okay, right? It basically has happened with me in the class. That's why I'm telling that I was taking class in BME and people shouted, "The biomedical waste. We are the biomedical waste. You are not waste. Okay, you are biomedical engineers, not biomedical waste." Right? Anyway, biomedical waste are given in detail in this particular page, so we have to go through it very carefully, right? Now, waste shafts include potentially contaminated and used and unused discarded needles, scalpel, lancets, and other devices capable of penetrating skin, right? So skin penetrating materials, if they're present, they're also part of biomedical waste. Now, here a big thing is there, right? Problem associated with BMW. Again and again, I'm saying here BMW doesn't means the car BMW. Okay, BMW means biomedical waste, and we are not here to discuss about the problems that we can see whenever one person drives BMW, because the main problem is the money, the price. Okay, we're not discussing about it, right? So, jokes apart, biomedical waste disposal is the topic here that we are having. And genetically, it is observed that about 85% of the biomedical waste are infectious, 10% are non-infectious, only 5% are hazardous. Okay, so 85% infectious means huge infection can occur. 5% are hazardous also. Normal way of disposal of biomedical waste is incineration. Remember, this is very important. Biomedical waste should be burnt off. The waste containing combustible solid is burnt with incinerators at high temperature. Okay, so whatever the biomedical waste you are having, you have to do incineration for them, and they have to be burnt with high temperature, right? Okay, now let's see what are the problems associated with BMW. You can see there are three columns. One is organism, another is disease cause, third one is related waste item. Okay, now if viruses are considered, just like HIV, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, rotavirus, enterovirus, then the disease corresponding disease are AIDS, infectious hepatitis, dengue, Japanese encephalitis, tick-borne fevers, etc. And related with waste item means whenever this disease is there, what type of waste item will come up? Infected needles will come up, body fluids will come up, human excreta, bloody fluids, etc. This will come up. If some infection has occurred with bacteria like Salmonella typhi or Vibrio cholerae or Clostridium tetani or Pseudomonas streptococcus, if this type of thing happens, then basically the corresponding diseases are typhoid, cholera, tetanus, wound infections, septicemia, rheumatic fever, and endocarditis, skin and soft tissue infections. Okay, now if this is the thing, then what will happen? If this is the particular thing, then we will see that human excreta and body fluid in landfills and hospital wards, shafts, and such as needles, switchblades in hospital burns will be there as wastes, right? Again, if we are having parasites, then these are the parasite names, these are the disease, and these are the probable biomedical waste that will come up. Okay, right? After biomedical waste, we are having chemical waste. So what chemical waste means? It is a type of waste. It is a type of waste that is made from harmful chemicals, mostly produced by large factories. Okay, and it is a broad term that encompasses types of materials. Toxic chemicals may be inorganic chemicals like heavy metals. We have studied about this in water pollution, and organic chemicals like dioxin, pesticide, insecticide, volatile compounds, etc. All these are nothing but chemical waste. Okay, personally, I love this PPT. Right? Let's see what next. We are having hazardous waste management. Right? What is hazardous waste management? This we need to see, and this we need to know. Okay, so basically there are 4 steps we have already seen in the last lecture, by which we are going to know that whether a waste that we are having hazardous or not. Okay, four different things are four different steps are there. As you can see, these four different steps are nothing but reactivity, ignitability, corrosivity, and toxicity. Now, in the last lecture, we people have briefly discussed about these steps, and we have seen that reactivity means species or chemical or whatever which is very much reactive, which can explode at any time, which can release toxic gas and all, right? Ignitability means something which is having a flammable tendency and can be ignited at any time under any circumstance. Okay, corrosivity means articles which are very much corrosive in nature, which may create some problems to our hands if we touch them. Also, they may corrode different articles in which they will be stored. And finally, toxicity is something which is poisonous to us, right? So these are the steps of identification. Now, how handling of waste can be done, or how handling of waste should be done rather. Proper handling is very much essential, as hazardous waste is a very concerned thing. For proper handling, the methods are, first of all, packaging, then labeling, then segregation, storage, transportation, and treatment. Okay, first of all, packaging should be done, then it should be labeled, then it should be segregated from all other waste, it should be stored, transport, and last but not least, we should have treatment for this particular waste. Okay, now how the hazard can be minimized, that we need to see. Minimization of hazard is our topic. And how the hazard can be minimized. Waste minimization is a process of elimination that involves reducing the amount of waste produced in society and helps to eliminate the generation of harmful and persistent waste, supporting the efforts to promote a sustainable society. Means we should have such practices which actually reduces the amount of waste present in a society. By this, we are not only protecting our society, but also we are helping the environment to sustain, right? Waste minimization involves redesigning products or changing social patterns or concerning consumption and production of waste generation to prevent the creation of waste. Yes, if we redesign our systems, if we just make things work in such a way that the waste will not be generated. For example, I can say that in Kalyani area, plastic bags are banned, right? Now, no bag is given. Rather, people are asked that you just carry your own bag, take it home. Your bag is yours, right? So no more plastic bags. That means no more waste generation. Okay. So this is a simple way of minimization of waste, and if waste are minimized, definitely the hazards will be minimized, right? Now, administrative control. How the administration should have control on the generation of waste. See, administrative responsibilities are very important, okay, in hazardous waste management. Responsibilities are to ensure, see, these responsibilities are to be done by the management itself, okay, to ensure that the container of hazardous waste is properly marked. So marking is very much important. To choose the correct disposal method, to treat the hazardous waste correctly, and to check the right kind of vehicle used for transportation. So number one is proper marking should be there, proper disposal method should be there, proper treatment should be there, and proper transportation should be there. These four things are very, very much important whenever we are dealing with hazardous waste, right? Last but not least, there are some questions that we people are having in this particular lecture. You can see beautifully it is written short answer questions, and here what is lithosphere is there. So lithosphere is the sphere that is present along with land, right? Basically I'm discussing the answers of these questions. Okay, what is primary rock, how it can be classified? So primary rock is nothing but igneous rock which is formed by the ignited lava, right? And in this way only it can be classified from other rocks, that other rocks are formed either by sedimentation or by metamorphism, right? The advantages of landfill is that the land gets filled, the process is much cheaper than the other processes, and foul smell is eliminated to a large extent. Rat rodents cannot grow because the waste are covered with soil. Okay. Disadvantage of incineration is nothing but air pollution to a large extent. Hazardous waste definition we have already seen. I am not repeating here. Characteristics of hazardous waste, again those 4 topics, that is reactivity, corrosivity, toxicity, and what else? Ignitability. Okay. Now what is soil? What is pedogenesis? Now this definition has been given in the lecture number 19. Okay. How the soil gets polluted? Yes, by our human activities as well as natural activities. How soil pollution can be controlled? This is totally the disposal methods and the management that we people have discussed in lecture number 19 and 20, and what the problem arises with landfill. Major problem is groundwater contamination, right? So these were the different aspects of land and its pollution, and as the short constraint answer has come up, you have already understood that the land module is finished. So the next 5th and final module that we people are having here is nothing but noise, and let us stay tuned and see what we are having for the noise module. Okay, till then, thank you so much, and stay safe, stay healthy, save environment.